Good morning, trading world. It is April 21st, 2021. It is 8:57 a.m. on the East Coast, and this is my pre-market outlook. Coming into today, I've been warning about a momentum shift, and right now we are in the middle of this momentum shift. We've had some decent sell side activity, but again, we are still in the middle figuring out this momentum shift. So, establishing a temporary range low and what that tells us. So coming into today or sometime this week, I will be looking to establish this temporary range low, and it will give us clues to where we go from here. Remember, key thing to remember, tops are a process, bottoms are an event. Meaning that we can hit a level today and boom, we bounce up, nothing more done, no revisit, nothing, it's just gone. We're off to the races from there. That's how a bottom could happen. Tops are always a process. You get to see your famous shapes or patterns, whether it's a head and shoulders, double top, however you want to call it. Either way, tops are a process. You don't just hit a top and bam, you disappear from the top, never to revisit it. It doesn't happen like that on the top. Topping is usually a process where you hit a top, you go back and revisit, inching just above it, shooting back below it, and then coming back to retest it again. That's a top. So, what and how we make this temporary low and what it will tell us. If we hit a low today and we just start to take off, we've covered some decent ground, decent sized ground, or decent sized range. So if we make a bottom today and we take off and we springboard back up and retest the top end of this range faster than we came down in sort of a parabolic vertical climb, this is dangerous, because what it says is that probably wasn't the bottom. It's basically a signal that we've entered an even more dangerous territory, which is called a volatility box, where we establish these huge ranges and we push to the edge of those ranges very fast. I mentioned this the other day in the theme that these ranges would normally take hours to days, but in this volatility box, we could cruise over those same ranges in minutes to hours. So that's something to be very, very careful of. So, coming into today, looking for that bottom to happen either today or Friday. So let's get into the outlooks of today. All right, here we have outcome number one, which I give a 45% probability of happening today. If we can hold this support area around the 410, 409 area, it sets up a bounce toward 414. And I should say 412, because 412 is going to be the area in which we struggle to get past. So outcome number one, we hold support, fight to get through this 412 area, and bam, we take off, headed toward the 414 area and possibly higher. That is outcome number one. Outcome number two, which I give a 25% probability of happening today, is we break through that support area 410, 409, giving us a slight bounce back up to retest where we just came from, and then we go toward the 408, or it opens up a door to the 408 area and below. And at some point in time, be careful and watch for the bounce that could possibly happen. Even if we hit this 408, 406 area, there could be a bounce that happens at some point today, giving us a monster rise, and which could be the spark of that bounce that I'm looking for back up to the 414, 415 area. So that is outcome number two. Outcome number three, in which I give a 30% probability of happening today, is basically consolidation. We basically bounce range bound between this 410 and 412 area, building up some energy before we break higher or lower. This is a likely scenario to happen today regardless, before choosing outcome one or two. So giving very high credence to this happening, and you have to be very careful with not allocating too much or too big of a position here while this consolidates. So just be very, very careful. That is my pre-market outlook for today. As always, know your risk. Be careful. We're entering into some very volatile times, or the beginning of some very volatile times. And as always, wishing you a profitable trading day. Have a great one.